The title of this YouTube is The Uselessness of Education, and it's meant to be a sort of admonition to the young people out there who might bother to look at my videos or just come across them, to not waste their time studying useless subjects. Now, there are a whole bunch of things I couldn't possibly cram into 10 minutes that I'd like to talk about, but let's look at the facts of the world right now. We live in a world of narrow specialization. Right? There's a German term, literally the subject idiot, someone who's an idiot in every respect except his own subject. It simply is not worth the cost, pain factor of borrowing tons and tons of money to get an undergraduate degree in liberal arts. The liberal arts myth, right? This was something that my progenitors grew up with. And you can study whatever you want. You can get a degree in classics or English or history, and you can move on and you can do whatever you want with your life. Tons of employment opportunities. Well, that was true in the 1960s, when undergraduate education actually mattered. It doesn't matter now. I mean, I have education up to my ears. It doesn't, I mean, and I think, moreover, it bears mentioning that the very term education is incredibly ill-defined. What does it mean? I mean, you can be well-educated in mechanical engineering and know next to nothing about Romantic and Victorian literature, or vice versa. In fact, it's often the case. You can be well-educated in history and know nothing about molecular biology, and vice versa. So education itself is a kind of fluffy term that has no relevant meaning, per se. There's no point in even really talking about education unless you're willing to define it. Conventionally, I think education is comes across or put across in such a way that people tend to understand as being a means to employment. You know, get an education, employment will follow. That's not true if you delve into the liberal arts. Now, I as an undergraduate, I studied German and classics. I did actually quite well, but you know, I bought into the myth back then, which was still prevalent, and I think it's evaporating now. I should hope. Well, I don't really know that, you know, you can study whatever you want, get a broad education, and then you can go out into the world and you can do whatever you want, right? Wrong. No, you can't. You cannot do whatever you want. We live in a world where narrow specialization is essential. If you want to make it in this world, wherever you are in the world, I don't just mean the United States, I mean Europe, Asia, any place, you need to have a narrow specialization. You must be a subject idiot and fuck idiot. And if you're not that, you're going to have a lot of problems. So, the main premise of this, of course, is that it's not worth the financial agony of borrowing tens and tens of thousands of dollars or pounds or euros to get a highfalutin liberal arts education, because it's not going to do anything for you. You're just going to be in debt. I'm very fortunate through scholarships and work and savings. I don't have any debt. It's probably the only nice feature of my life right now. Everything else is pretty much me out. No, I honestly think that's important. If you're really contemplating going to university and you're going to borrow to do it, by all the non-existent gods, do something practical. Study medicine, study law, study IT, engineering, something that's going to probably give you some good employment opportunities afterwards. You don't want to do liberal arts. And if you're truly interested in learning about stained glass windows of the late Gothic period, or Romantic literature, or Kantian philosophy, you can go to a bookstore and buy a book. And if you don't even want to do that, you can go to a library, and you can borrow it, and you don't have to pay anything. So that's solved. There's your liberal arts education. You can do it all at home, you know, over the weekend. You don't need to spend 3 or 4 years as an undergraduate wasting away studying useless subjects that no one cares about. And you'll find the more you do it, the less you will care about it. Not even advanced education. I have a master's degree. Not even that will do very much for you, unless it's practical. So yeah, I studied classics and German as an undergraduate, and I did a master's degree in theoretical linguistics. Yeah, I know. I wasn't really thinking, though. I was strange, I know, very strange. But my message to young people, late teens, early 20s, is if you're really going to head over to university and get a so-called education, we don't even know what that means, but education, since it's going to lead somewhere afterwards to gainful employment, and you're thinking about doing an undergraduate degree in English Lit, don't do that. Learn a trade. I mean, you can make much more money and you have much better employment opportunities as an auto mechanic than you would as a summa cum laude English Lit graduate. Believe me, I know people like that. I know PhDs in useless subjects who are waiting tables, even as we speak. So, the lesson to be learned here, the very important lesson to be learned from my life failure and other people I know who are struggling as well, have education up to their ears, much like myself, but are going nowhere fast and aging as I am as well, is that don't buy into the liberal arts myth, the myth of broad education. That's the key to success. It's not. Narrow specialization is. Become an idiot in every subject but one, and master that subject. And that's basically my advice to the young people and to the world. You can learn from the mistakes of others, from my mistakes. Don't repeat them. But it's certainly, it is absolute absurdity, particularly in the context of the United States, which I will be returning to after eons of not being there, to borrow tens and tens of thousands of dollars in order to pay for an education wherever, even if it's Harvard or Stanford. It's not really worth it, because the name will help. It really does help, but it's not going to help that much if you have no real skills. So persuade yourself not to do that. And particularly in today's economic crisis atmosphere, it would behoove you well not to, even more so, do something useless and impractical. Pursue the path of pragmatism, study hard, work hard, in order that you might later prosper, in order that you might later find gainful employment, something which I can rant about the so-called TEFL industry, teaching English as a foreign language. I might make another video about that. After all, I'm on the dole and don't have I have lots of time, at least at the moment. So, yeah, that would be my my advice to all the young people, and it's just my rant in general. The liberal arts myth, it worked in the 60s, maybe 50 years ago, in the 50s, but it's gone. Time to move on. Time to become an idiot in everything but one subject. And if you want to learn other stuff, like I said, you can borrow a book from the library, and if you really want to learn, you can buy some books. You can probably even buy them really cheaply at eBay. So, yeah, don't make the same mistakes that I made and other people made. Make wise choices and think long and hard before you. I was only 21 yesterday, so just as a metaphor, time flies. Yeah, it's true. Don't waste your time pursuing useless subjects that will do nothing for you. Don't do that. Be practical, be pragmatic, be a narrow specialist. IT, engineering, law, medicine, and whatever else might be practical, which doesn't occur to me right now. But I hope in making this video I can save some of the youth out there from making some terrible mistakes.